take it away.
Hello, GDQ. Ahmad here. I'm going to play Mega Man Rock and Roll, which is one of the best fan games ever made, if I may say so. I'm not going to focus on commentary too much, and for that we have LVCreed and Krimmydoodle doing the commentary. Say hello.
Hello. Hello, everyone. This is LVCreed here, currently an active runner of this game. Also, a bit of a play tester. Help play test this game, make this thing work, and hopefully we'll have ourselves a good show.
Yeah. Ahmad's gotta give us a good run for us.
Hopefully. And by that, let's just get the show on the road on 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, so I guess I'll start off here. So right now we're going through the intro stage. Of course, we're starting off with a little bit of small tech. You're gonna turn off this game. Natively has in-game energy balancer, and with the energy balancer, there is gonna be some points where there's gonna be some freezing to, like, help fill up energy. So I'm just gonna turn that off. But otherwise, we pretty much just start off with Mega Man, and Mega Man's just gonna be doing some buster, some sliding, the typical Mega Man stuff, as we surprisingly get captured. And Krimmy, we're gonna talk about our actual star role. So if you can continue from there.
Yeah, so we had a very short introduction with Rock Band, who is not the main character of this run, at least not for us. We have switched to Roll, who is coming to rescue Rock Band in this intro stage. And so Roll is a little different from Rock Band. Rock Band has his usual charge buster. Roll does not have a charge buster, but instead she has a double jump, which is required in the stage to kind of introduce you to that concept. And that double jump also is just too good for movement. It makes her the superior character by far in this game. So she's rescued Rockman, and they're going to be breaking out of this this mysterious laboratory place.
Yeah, so as we continue on through the rest of the stage, this is pretty much the last time you're gonna see Mega Man for quite some time. So if people in chat, just wave bye-bye to Mega Man, because we're not gonna be seeing him for a very, very long time. But just to keep on the lore of the story before we get to the main meat of the game, this mysterious entity that came from the ocean just pretty much just started kidnapping robots at random. You saw them kidnap 4 of them in the early intro stage. We're going to see them later. But for right now, we're going to start off going... The order is going to be in weakness order, and we're going to start off with Dune Woman. So, Krimmy, you can pretty much start us off from here.
Yeah, so before entering Dune Woman, you had to switch to Roll. You can choose either character for these Robot Master stages, but we're just going to use Roll for all of them. Immediately right here, you can see some of these seesaw platforms. If you were Rock Band, you would have to kind of stand on one to lift up the other and jump over the walls, but Roll can just double jump over them, and so she's just immediately showing off her usefulness.
Yeah, it's pretty much the case that even though Roll has her minimal kit, that minimal kit is just so freaking good and borderline busted. It's just pretty much just the case that we're going to be doing pretty much all the 8 Robot Master stages as Roll up until a certain point where we're going to be forced to use Mega Man anyway. So as we come up to checkpoint, and checkpoints are very generous in this game, probably about 2 checkpoints per stage, you can see that all the double jumps, all the shots, all the slides are pretty much accurately done in order to make Roll move as fast as possible throughout not only Dune stage, but the stages that follow up. So we're going to see Ahmad under this set of tricky slides, get that one shot, and there we go. On our way to Dune Woman, and Dune Woman can be quite an annoying battle that's coming up right now.
Dune Woman is very random, and she can dive underground at times, and which makes it difficult to hit her. Also, when she flies up in the air, she can also be difficult to hit. It's the most unfortunate part of this route, but I don't think that it's... I've not seen enough justification to take another route, because the first 3 weapons that we will be getting on this route are just too good.
I will actually kind of debate that. There is another route that is kind of brewing, and I will shout out Slurpee Ninja, who kind of gave that idea out. Very famous Mega Man 9 runner in particular. Beetle is an option that has been forming a little bit of a development, but it hadn't gotten a finish run to see if that route is equal to what we're seeing right now. But since we saw Doom Woman taken out, we finally get her weapon, which is, like Krimmy said, one of the strongest weapons in the Desert Storm. It's not quite screen clearing, but it definitely is a very wide range weapon, and it takes out the smaller enemies very, very quickly, mostly one shots most of them. And from here, we're going to be going to Missile Man, where Missile Man is mostly your analog sky stage. As you can see, we got killer bullets flying, we got the birds, and we got parachute spikes that do one-shot roll if it gets hit. Fortunately, if you do shoot down the parachutes, the spike hitbox are inactive, and you can see right now the Desert Storm already getting to work. This run is very, very weapons oriented. So as you can see, this is just the beginning of the versatility that the weapons in and of themselves are going to be doing. And with Rose's increased mobility, she just pretty much is going to have an interesting time just going through this entire stage.
Yeah, so because we will be needing the weapon for the boss coming up, the Desert Storm does have a little bit of limited usefulness throughout the stage, but it'll definitely be seeing a lot more use later throughout the game, as we won't need it for later bosses.
So as we come up to our next session here, we got, as this being a fan game, there's always like inspirations to previous Mega Man games. Here we got our footholders from Mega Man 1, but they are much, much friendlier than those from the source that they came from. They're always pretty much moving their static directions. They don't move at random, so you pretty much just know how to move through there. And right now, I'm just zooming along and getting by these crushers, which not too hard to get by. They're pretty easy to get by, and after going through this big boy right here, who's lucky enough to just do a big jump right here, we go to our Missile Man fight.
Yeah, so the Missile Man fight, the big tech here is that if you position your Desert Storm correctly, you can actually get 2 hits with one Desert Storm, which is very important for actually having enough weapon energy to be able to defeat him without running out. We will be getting a pretty straightforward missile weapon coming up with this. It can be aimed slightly upwards or downwards, but it mostly just moves forward and does big damage. And then we will also be getting Rush Coil for Rock Band, but we're not using Rock Band, so that doesn't really matter to us right now. With that said, I believe we could use a donation or two.
All right, we've got $25 from Joel J. Guess since my first donation, might as well donate again. Love me some Mega Man. Good luck to the runners, and thanks to all those who make this event possible.
Go ahead with another donation.
All right, we've got $15 from RB. Enjoying the Mega Man block. Looking forward to that Love 3 run. Let's get that bonus level.
Thank you for those donations. We will be going into Tide Man next. The stage is entirely underwater, and as such, we will be very floaty throughout this stage.
Yeah, surprisingly for a water level, you think in Mega Man levels with the water level history in those games, this will be kind of like one of the most treacherous stages. Actually, it's very kind in comparison to most water stages in the Mega Man franchise. But you can see right now, Ahmad is already using the blast missile to great effect, and in combination with the Desert Storm, you can see it's just pretty much just tearing down these fish eggs and just pretty much just continue to plow through as quickly as possible. As I keep saying, this run is very weapons oriented. This is only the beginning, and we're already using our weapons that we already have to their greatest effect. So right now, just once again, pretty much general uses of the Desert Storm and the blast missiles, and onto our mid boss here.
Yeah, I love the design of this mid-boss. You see this health pickup floating in midair or in the water, and it turns out to be an anglerfish. Just brilliant design. This room is dark, but as long as the jellyfish are on screen, or if you shoot one of these light plants, it'll light up our way. You could do it in the dark for fun, but there's no real reason not to light things up. Also, with regards to weapon switching, you may notice whenever he switches weapons, you can start to see the weapon wheel forming. This game does have 8-way weapon switching by using your right analog stick if you're using a controller. So you can just swap to any weapon at any time.
So meanwhile, we seen Tideman. We didn't quite get the best RNG. We actually wanted to see a set of small fish being fired from Tideman, but unfortunately we didn't get to see that. We got big fish and he went straight to the trademark weapon that Rose about to get in the shield bubble. But regardless of the RNG, Ahmad was able to pretty much adjust himself accordingly and get himself a pretty quick fight. As for the shield bubble itself, the shield bubble is actually a pretty strong weapon, which is pretty much a common theme for most of the weapons in this game. And as you can see, the showcase, it actually allows you to float on top of the water. Pretty strong shield, pretty strong weapon, and we're about to use it very soon, almost immediately in Drake Man stage.
Yeah, so with those first 3 weapons, all of them excellent weapons. I think of Drake Man as the point where the game really, the speedrun really starts to pick up in terms of weapon usage. And just see sandstorms, missiles, swapping to Buster to reduce the health on these volcano enemies before switching back to missile. It's beautiful, honestly.
It really is. It pretty much, this is the point where you see almost the true potential of the run's speed running capabilities, and this is not even the tip of the iceberg. While Ahmad's just tearing through the stage, you saw. I want to go back to the utilities, because after this, we're actually going to get ourselves utilities specific for role. For those that aren't familiar with how utilities are gained, every 2 bosses you actually get a utility. You saw from the first 2 bosses, you get Mega Man's first utility with Rush Coil, as he doesn't get it from the very start. But after we deal with Drake Man, which is the point where we get our 4th Robot Master done, we're actually going to get our weapon, our utility for roll, and you're going to see that once we defeat Drake Man. We won't talk about it until we actually see it, but as you can see, Ahmad is just tearing through this stage, using all the arsenal that he has available, making sure to have enough shield bubble by the time he goes to Drake Man, because he's going to be used nearly all of it in order to get this kill, hopefully as fast as possible.
Alright, Drake Man being kind to us to start, and then being a little annoying afterwards, flying across the screen. It just kind of takes a little bit longer to get back to him, but takes him down in short order.
Tough pattern. I think we have enough time for some donations here.
Yeah, sure.
Alright, so before I do that, just checking in quickly, we have raised $520 for that Love 3 custom bonus level, and over almost $1,500 for the upgrade to hard mode for Mighty Gunvolt Burst. So good job everyone, but we still have a long ways to go on those. We have $10 from Rayo. This is the best Mega Man fan game made, and more people need to give it a try. Good luck, Ahmad, on your rock and roll run, and remember that Pirate Man is a happy song.
Thank you.
Maybe one more?
We have $10 from Mom6226. A bit of love for the bonus game today, which is Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, which we've raised over $17,000 for. That will be coming up much later today.
Alright, so we're continuing on with Polar Woman, and as you probably saw as the donation were getting read, Ro did eventually get her utility item. So her utility item is actually Beat. It's the Beat Parry, and yes, this is what you're going to be seeing from Ro for the rest of the game. And if nothing else pretty much shows why Ro is the superior character in this game, Beat just comes in and just blows the game wide open because the mobility used for Beat is just so... It complements Roll very, very well, especially with her double jumping capabilities. You can use it to kind of like skip ladders, get extra height on places to augment her double jump. Beat is basically broken.
Yeah, Beat is just superior to Rush in every way. With Rush Coil, for example, you would have to wait for Rush to teleport down, and then you have to jump up and land on Rush, and then you can go up. With Beat, you just fly straight up, and it's great. And you can also continue to hold on to Beat and fly across gaps. It's a lot slower, so we tend to get off of Beat as soon as possible, but it is an option. And we're using the shield bubble here to cross those pools of water. You would normally have to knock the icicles off the top and use them as platforms, but you can just float across the water with the bump.
Meanwhile, we got Polar Woman on side here, of course, using fire to melt the ice, and look like a very good pattern. You want Polar Woman to stay grounded as much as possible. You don't want... She has a move that can jump up, where she gets a pretty significant amount of hang time before firing a shot that shoots icicles on the ground. Fortunately, we didn't get to see that at all in this particular fight, and a very solid stage overall.
Yeah, it's very convenient that weapons defeat bosses in short order, because Polar Woman is, in my opinion at least, one of the more difficult bosses to Buster Duel well.
As you can see, the Snow Roller also does have a freezing capability when charged up. It is a charged weapon, and the charges will come into play. Like I said, we are in weakness order, so we're going to be using the Snow Roller against Reactor Man, but right now, we're not quite there yet. But let's talk about this stage, and for this stage, I heard you like Force Beams. Yeah, this stage has those instant kill Force Beams, but the stage is kind of designed around trying to navigate using the terrain, and in some cases using the buttons in order to turn off or just get by these beams. So compared to, like, say, Quickman, this stage is very forgiving in how it uses its Force Beams. Also, using a strat that I kind of developed, or a variation of it, using the Fire Blast to take out that light bulb mini boss as fast as possible to continue on and go through straight onto the stage.
Can we just shout out these Quickman disco balls? Best enemy in the game.
Which are also insta-dead, by the way.
Yes. Unlike Quickman stage, you can, if you're kind of noticing, the stage isn't really designed around speed. Obviously, we're going fast because it's a speed run, but unlike Quickman stage, it's much more designed kind of as a stealthy stage to kind of hide around the walls rather than trying to outpace the lasers.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a kind of stage, you got to go a little more judiciously, and thanks to the terrain that's around, like, as we come close to the end of the stage, like I say, you just kind of got to wait for an opening, and then you get to move on. And Grimmy, this is one of the fights that you kind of discovered, especially in terms of how the charge shots for the Snow Roller worked for Reactor Man.
Yeah, so this boss fight right here, if you kind of wanted to play it safe casually, you could kind of play this like a Mega Man X boss, constantly stun locking him with fully charged rollers to freeze him completely. However, it's faster to kind of charge up your snowball to a medium length charge, which will do the best DPS. A uncharged will do 2 damage, a very slight charge will do 3, and a full charge will do 4.
Meanwhile, we got the charge laser here. It has its uses, but we're probably not going to see it too much in the run. And since we have done our 6 bosses, we're going to get our final utility for Mega Man, which is the Rush Jet. It's going to be useful later on, but it does what Rush Jet does. It's just a dog that flies, and if we can get a quick donation before we get to the next stage, it'll be quite lovely.
All right, a quick donation, $5 from Killer Chair. Ahmad is doing so well on this run. You could even say he is on a roll.
I was expecting them to say that he's rocking it, but I guess I guess Rock Band doesn't exist, so on a roll is probably more appropriate.
And this is my life for 5 seconds. but seriously, we're going to Ghost Woman next, and this is where you're gonna see something a little interesting throughout the stage. Well, let's return to the intro stage for a bit, because you saw 4 bosses that got kidnapped. This is one of those 4 stages where you can actually fight them. So right now, we got a Skullman sighting here. And this actually has implications for the rest of the game. Whether you play it casually or in a speed run, this is going to be very, very notable for the rest of the game. But to defeat Skullman, you can just pretty much just use a set of blast missiles, and you can destroy him in 7 hits. Otherwise, the rest of the stage is pretty much a pretty decent obstacle course.
Yeah, and coming up here, we will have some Yoku blocks, the Mega Man classic, but with Beat, we just ignore them. Yoku blocks don't exist.
Right.
And then we're going to be coming up on another mid-boss here, which is a Bell, and he's going to go into this first room first, firing off a Desert Storm immediately, and then hitting all of the boss's weak points using the Fire Breath. And going through that mid-boss much quicker than I can explain it.
Yeah, in front of the rest of the stage is pretty much just using snow rollers for a bit. Gonna be using blast missile to try to one-shot enemies that are along the way, and we're gonna go straight into our Ghost Woman fight, in which the Ghost Woman fight has a little bit of an RNG aspect. So for the Ghost Woman fight, first we're gonna equip our charge laser. I'm only gonna buffer the charge laser shot so we can get the first shot on Ghost Woman as fast as possible, since the charge laser comes out instantaneously. There's that first shot, and now this is where RNG comes in. Right now, this is a decent bit of RNG. We got 2 window flash. We prefer 1, and this is probably the worst possible RNG you can get. Well, the worst formation you can get, where Ghost Woman pretty much just like stalks you and forms a shadow behind you. It kind of takes time for her to come out and then start shooting her trademark weapon, her Soul Trap. Not the best RNG you can get, but Amar was able to handle it pretty well.
Yeah, so with Ghost Woman, we're going to be getting the Soul Trap weapon, one of the coolest weapons in the game. It fires off this little bullet that when it shoots a small enough enemy, it kind of traps them, kind of reminiscent of Danger Wrap from Mega Man 7, and then you can bump into the trapped enemy to use them as a weapon after they've been trapped.
So if we're going to Beetle Lady stage, this is pretty much like a test of how to use your weapons, because a lot of the weapons that you have accumulated so far, just about all of them will have a use. I think maybe this Snow Roller probably doesn't get a use, but just about every weapon gets displayed here. This is probably like the tour de force penultimate stage, or ultimate stage for the 8 Robos. As you can see, you saw Snow Roller, you saw... I'm talking about Snow Roller not being used, and it comes out of my mouth anyway. Good lord. But seriously, we got Shield Bubble, you see Desert Storm, you saw Blast Missile used as a shortcut where the Beetles would normally destroy the rock. You see B going through stages, see Fire Breath. This stage just uses so much, and even for the final business stage where you get a treacherous area over pits where you pretty much get a swarm of enemies, this being a bug theme makes sense, and we just go straight into the Beetle Lady fight where the Soul Trap... Yeah, Krimmy, how did you go on from here?
Yeah, first I just want to say that is one of my favorite stages in the game to go through. But the Soul Trap, so you can shoot Beetle Lady directly with the Soul Trap for 2 damage, but you can also trap her Beetle drones and use them against her, and that does 6 damage. So most of the damage is done by trapping her own Beetle drones and using them against her with a little bit of help from direct shots. And with that, we'll be getting...
And with...
Go ahead.
Yeah, we pretty much were talking about the same thing. We were after this, you get the beetle drone, which pretty much is a secret weapon. The drones, 2 beetle drones, would just seek out and fly out enemies. Not really useful. Probably the weakest weapon throughout the 8 robos out of a good set. But from here, we got ourselves a pretty interesting area as we go into our final stretches of stages. So, actually, this is the point where we get a little bit of an interesting dynamic. Of course, we're still going to start with roll, but here we're actually trying to infiltrate this base here, and the theme of this stage is actually supposed to be stealth. You see these tripwires? These tripwires will activate force beams that will, as you think, kill roll in one hit. Let's see if we get this jump. Very clean. And then we get to our boss fight, and all of a sudden, yeah, Roll's a little bit trapped, and this is where things get interesting. Krimmy, if you mind?
Yeah, so with the 8 robot masters being dealt with, the rest of the stages are mostly going to have set characters that we have to go through. So as they're infiltrating the space, you can kind of think of this as they're going through these stages at the same time. Roll on one side and Rock Band on the other, and they're going to be approaching this boss. Ahmad is going to jump into this room and buffer a shot to get a shot in on this eye. Unfortunately, it doesn't kill it, but it does deal 1 damage, which we will need to finish off the boss, as hitting it with only missiles would leave it with 1 HP. If you took longer on this boss, there would be a character switching mechanic where the button that Roll was standing on would be able to be pressed, and it would allow you to switch characters, but that's slow, so we just jump and shoot missiles into the eye with Roll.
And in traditional Mega Man fashion, you'll find out the person that's behind the whole kidnapping incident was Raleigh all along. Who'd have guessed? But yeah, this is where the dynamic of the final stages get pretty interesting. Like you said, Mega Man has returned, but the gimmick of the Wally stages is the fact that throughout the stage, you're actually going to be alternating between the 2 characters until you reach a certain connection point later on in the game. So you're going to have 2 stages as Mega Man, 2 stages as Roll. Of course, for the speed run, since Mega Man's the first option, we just go straight to Mega Man anyway. And for this first stage, like you said, kind of like harking to previous Mega Man games, this one has a strong semblance to Mega Man 4, and this is going to be very, very heavy on the metals. This also going to be very, very heavy on the Soul Trap usage. Soul Trap is probably the most important weapon in this stage, because you're going to be using it to trap all of the weaker enemies and use them to kind of like help bypass them and just continue on throughout the entire stage. Of course, using some weapons along the way, like you saw Shield Bubble at the very beginning of the stage, you see Desert Storm right now, and you're just going to be using all of them in conjunction with the Soul Trap in order to get through the rest of the stage. Of course, by this time, since we're going to the Wily stages, the difficulty will ramp up significantly. Like right here, to get this proper time on the crushers, and there you go. I've seen a lot of gameplay where that crusher segment can be really tight, but what this boss right here, I'm just gonna say this boss. Krimmy, you can take it from here.
Yeah, so the first thing that's gonna happen here is we're gonna shoot this first Met, which will split it up into 3 Mets, and we can use 2 of those to make individual soul traps. This boss is entirely scripted, and it is a beautiful thing to watch when it happens correctly. It happened well enough. We did not have to wait for more Mets to spawn. This is a huge trap for people playing this game for the first time. People, first of all, having to discover what the weakness is in the first place, and then afterwards having to learn the patterns and not... if you don't know the patterns, it takes a very long time to be able to kill that boss.
Not to mention the Mech Grabber is pretty much invulnerable for a majority of the body, and you gotta hit the eyes. And the Soul Trap, trying to angle it can be very, very weird because the hitbox can be kinda jank, but once you know how to use it, it can be a pretty sweet kill and a sweet fight. But meanwhile, now we're gonna go through Roll's first Wily stage, and as you can see, we're gonna be using, well, as you notice, the weapon energy still carry over from the stealth stage that was prior to the first stages for Mega Man Inroad. So of course weapon management is going to be very important. As you can see that Ahmad is still pretty low on his blast missiles, so we're going to be using blast missiles very cautiously and wisely throughout the game. That's something that Ahmad's going to keep in mind for the rest of the game. But in the meanwhile, just going to continue going throughout these stages. As you saw, just a little bit of insight here, you have seen some of these like side openings here. That's for you people to actually find out, because that has to do with 100%. But for right now, just keeping on trucking along here, using shield bubble to bypass that little spark enemy. And here, let's use the light gimmick that you saw throughout the stage. Wisely not hitting the last one. That's a little bit of a sneaky trap to get that sneaky little death. And now we get to our boss fight, which is Big Bowl.
Yeah, so the cutscene there shows you falling into the bulb as kind of a hint to the bulb's weakness. You open it up and jump inside it, and you fire the laser into it. And I believe normally the laser would actually heal the boss, but you fire it long enough that it overloads the bulb and causes it to instantly explode.
And that's actually like an Easter egg. The actual intended weakness is you fire a Desert Storm, it does immense damage, and it ejects you out, and you start the whole process all over again. So, just something to keep note of. Meanwhile, Krimmy would like to continue describing Mega Man's second Wily stage.
Yeah, so this is the weapons depot full of explosives. Right here, we're going to be seeing one of the best uses of the reactor laser, which is actually that it has instant travel time. So it's really nice for shooting some of those explosive blocks as quickly as possible. We also saw a very short usage of Rush. Thankfully, Ahmad did not fall into the hole because Rush can be a little finicky. There is a dedicated button for your animal partners, either Rush or Beat, depending on the character. But that one button is used to control either the Rush Coil or the Rush Jet. You press the button once to use Rush Coil, and you press the button twice to use Rush Jet. And if you mess it up, you can sometimes just get yourself falling into the hole because you called the wrong Rush.
Yeah.
Also, keep in mind that once again, we got energy, weapon energy to keep stored up. You saw that Ahmad took some time to actually load up on shield bubble. That's going to be important later on. Meanwhile, Ahmad just got through one of the scariest sections of this stage, using the Desert Storm to get by those very large tankies. And another shout out to Mega Man 11, that anti-Eddie, just trying to take off with that E-tank. Of course, you got to destroy it quickly so you can move on anyway. So taking care of that and getting the E-tank is more of a bonus. And more Mega Man 1 references, going through current with the killer bullets, and a Mega Man 1 inspired boss.
Yeah, so this boss you may recognize from Mega Man 1, but unlike Mega Man 1 where you would have to defeat 7 of them, this one has 7 phases that it goes through, doing a different attack pattern every time you hit it for enough damage. It has this interesting joint weakness of you want to freeze it and then shatter it with the missile. So you use both those weapons in conjunction, although at times also there was some laser to use instead.
Yeah, kind of. Oh, go ahead, Ahmad.
Oh, that was just going to say how good a fight that was.
That was a good fight.
Go ahead.
That boss is so difficult to fight well.
I was about to say, think Metroid with that boss in terms of the ice missile connection. But meanwhile, now we get to the stage. This stage is probably one of the most notable stages. This is probably the stage that had probably the highest difficulty curve, not only casually, but definitely in the speed run. As you can see, it already goes nuts. You saw Petit Devils, you seen Yoku blocks, but the main gimmick in the research labs is that it kind of plays with your platforming a little bit. As you can see, we got wraparound not only vertically, but horizontally. And as you can see, this adds a lots and lots of spikes. Just to note, there are absolutely 0 pitfalls in this stage. Any kind of instant kills will be spike related. and you can see all these petite devils here. And this, I cannot stress how crazy this stage is. When you do it right, it looks so good, but it's such a tough stage to deal with, and it's only halfway done. Krimmy, if you pretty much just continue where I left off here and just talk about the second half.
Yeah, that room that he just went through, by the way, was beautiful. But yeah, this stage is so difficult because there are no pits and there's such a reliance on spikes. There's a lot of damage boosts to be taken to give yourself invulnerability frames to get across these spikes, and that's one of the things that really makes the stage difficult in a speedrun especially, is making sure that you have enough health to actually make it through the stage. Thankfully, the boss that's coming up is on a set pattern, so as long as we have any health at all, Ahmad should not be getting hit, and should be able to take out this boss very easily. Now, it should be noted that, like the rest of the stage, this is not a pit. If you fall down the bottom, you will be wrapping around the top, so it may be a little less scary than it might look at first glance.
He's also using the fire breath to destroy some of these fake platforms and using them as an extra DPS to get a recommended number of hits so can finish them off as fast as possible. And that stage was amazing. That was pretty much one of the cleanest stages I've seen, and he's doing it on a marathon, folks. This guy's a beast.
Yeah, and with that, we will be going into the refight stage where we will be fighting 12 bosses. Wait, not 8 bosses? Yes, 12 bosses. So, coming up here, we will first be fighting Fireman, who was one of the robots that was captured in the introduction. And he will be weak to the Snow Roller. Like before, we'll be using very slight charges on the Snow Roller to get the most damage done as quickly as possible.
So yeah, so coming up on that, like I said, we're dealing with multiple bosses. So actually, this is going to be done in 2 halves. So we got 2 bosses that we saw from the intro stage coming to fight Mega Man, and later on, we're going to see 2 bosses coming at Roll. And from here, for those that know their Mega Man 9 history, this is Honey Woman, the unused character Robot Master that Hornet Man actually took the place of. And just like Hornet Man is weak to fire, so pretty much know how to do the boss fight, and she gets burnt.
Yeah, I actually only learned fairly recently about that little bit of Honey Woman lore. And then here we will be getting Dagger Man, who is a robot master from another fan game, Mega Man Super Fighting Robot, I believe.
That's correct.
I've never played the game myself. But,
pretty decent game. I urge everyone to also play that as well.
I've been meaning to, but just have never gotten around to it. And then, so going through this last little bit, Roll would normally be fighting Skullman, but we saved Skullman earlier in Ghost Woman stage. There's just a little placeholder enemy here, and we just move on. Skipping that Skullman fight there is one of the best reasons to actually save Skullman in the first place, is that his weakness is just at a premium. You really don't want more reasons to use that the blast missile in the castle stages.
And of course, this happens to be our classic refight stages, but with a twist, as you can see, you're actually using both Mega Man and Roll to go through all these 8 bosses. So you gotta have to wisely, like I said, with our weapon is being premium, you gotta know which robot masters you want to use as both Mega Man and Roll to pretty much compensate any kind of weapon deficit that you may have. Otherwise, it's just pretty much just a standard boss fight, and since we know most of the boss fights, the only real changes is going to be for Mega Man, as Mega Man's going to be actually fighting, let's see, he's going to fight Drake, should be fighting Drake, Polar, Ghost, and Tide, but the boss tactics are still going to be the same, so there's not too much to discuss about them, and we can hand it to him for a set of donations for a while until we done with these 8 robots.
All right, awesome. So just checking in a little bit on that upgrade to hard mode for Mighty Gunvolt Burst, we have a little bit over $3,000 to go for that incentive, and we only have until the end of this run and the next run. So if you would like to see that upgrade, make sure you apply your donations towards that incentive. And as a reminder, we also have our Love 3 custom HDQ bonus level incentive. We have raised a little bit over $500 for that one, so we still have roughly $2,500 for it, and not a whole lot of time to get that one either.
Think about it,
Whitmore.
yeah, extra donation.
Okay, we've got $50 from Papat Dot. Good luck, Ahmad. It's been awesome seeing you push this game to its limit. Happy you get to showcase it and your skills to GDQ.
Thank you.
Thanks, Papat.
We have $25 from Benny Burrito. So excited to see this Mega Man rock and roll run. This game is incredible, and I'm so happy to see it represented at GDQ. Good luck on the run, Ahmad.
Thank you.
All right, so with all of the Robot Masters done, we will be fighting Proto Man, who was also captured in the beginning of the game. Proto Man, I believe, takes 0 damage from all special weapons, so you have to Buster Duel him.
Yeah, the pattern is actually pretty simple. There are some cases where the fight before he starts jumping can be a little random, but as long as you can keep a steady DPS, Proto Man is actually a pretty easy fight. And a little bit of an interesting situation here. Yoink! Yeah, the person that defeats Proto Man actually gets captured, and the person that doesn't get captured moves on to the next stage. You'll see why this is important in a few moments, because we're actually about to be closing towards the end of the run here. We're just going to go through this little short section here as Mega Man until we get to our boss fight, and the boss fight is a bit of a tour de force.
Yeah, there's so much happening in this boss fight. First of all, there's a character switching mechanic with this boss fight where the character that is in the center is captured, and you can bump them out of the capture pod to switch characters, and there's a lot of character switching in this fight. So you're going to have to laser these bulbs, which exposes the eye on the other side, and then switch characters so that you can shoot the eye, and then shoot the bulb so that you can expose the other eye to move on to the next phase after destroying this.
And the eyes are timed, so if you're a little slow in the action, you saw what happened. It closes up, and then you gotta go through the whole rigmarole again to open the eye up to defeat the second eye, and then you get to this point here where the weakness can be a little bit convoluted in spite of being genius. You're actually putting the beetles into the cockpit through the balls that it's actually supposed to be firing in, and right now, pretty much a good set, and now we're on to the final part of the run, where you get our hide and seek Wally capsule with the switching intact, and time will be on the final hit.
Yes. After this life bar is depleted, that will be
In time.
Dude, what the heck is this time?
What was the time? That is such a good time in this game. Damn.
That's more than a minute faster than my PB. Is that a minute faster than your PB, Creed? I don't remember your time.
I think it's probably it should be under a minute, but that's still insanely good for a marathon run.
That was incredible. Let me do my shout outs here right now. Obviously, thank you, GDQ, for having me once again. I love to represent all the Mega Man games, obviously classic games mostly, because that's what I speedrun. Thank you, my commentators, Creamy and Greed. Such a pleasure to have you here, because I know you both of you have such a passion for fan games, and especially for this game. I noticed both of you have been not only grinding, but just finding all the new stuff and whatnot. So definitely appreciate both of you. Obviously, shout out to my girlfriend as well. Lovely support as always. Love you much. Thank you, my community. You guys are awesome. Extremely supportive bunch. And if you guys have any, like if you want to learn any classic games or fan games, ROM hacks of Mega Man, I would strongly suggest heading out to Classic Mega Discord or MegaManLeaderboards.net if you want to get your runs in. Very, very friendly bunch. Mature, mostly mature, obviously. Classic guys are over 30 at this point, but there's younger folks as well. So everyone's welcome, of course. So yeah, if you want to learn any of classic runs or fan games, etc., feel free to join the Discord and all the questions ask and we will answer. That's how easy it should be. Do you guys have anything you want to add?
I just wanted to say I'm very happy to be a part of this project. I was brought in on the tail end of development, and it's been a great experience learning how to play test game, how to learn the game's functions, and it's just been fun. Grimmy?
Yeah, this is a wonderful game. You can play it yourself. It's a free fan game. Just gotta find it on, I believe it's on the creator's personal blog, DennisEngelhard.com, if I remember correctly. I probably should have double-checked that.
Moment of silence,
there's-
please.
That is such a heartwarming message. I love it every single time, and thank you, Dennis, for making this game. I'm sure your dad would be and will and always will be proud of you. Thank you. And thank you, GDQ, for having me. Take care.
Wow, what a heartwarming ending to an amazing run. So checking in on those incentives, the upgrade to hard mode still has a little bit over $3,000 to go, and we still have $2,500 to go for that custom HDQ bonus level for Love 3. Now, you may have seen the schedule. This next run only has a 30-minute estimate. That's all the time we've got to get this incentive met for that upgrade to hard mode. Now, chat, I have seen you do some amazing things. I have been at this host desk a long time. I have seen some real stretches for this incentive. For incentives in the past. So I have faith in all of you that we can get these met. We have $50 from stock. Oops, I might have missed a few $5 trains. And you know what? We could start another $5 train now. $5 train for that upgrade to hard mode and that custom bonus level. Let's see if we can get a $5 train to get those met. And with that, we are going to take a quick break, but don't go away. We will be back soon with more awesome games done quick. Welcome back to AGDQ 2023 Online. Coming up next, we have an interview with the runner of our two next games, Ares Extinction Agenda EX and Mighty Gunvolt Burst. So, Adef, take it away with the interview for our next runner, KiwamiZX.
Hello, everybody at AGDQ 2023 Online. My name is Adef, and I am joined by Kiwami, who will be the upcoming runner for both of the next two games back to back. I'm so excited to be talking with you. Kiwami, how are you?
Hello, I am doing great, and I'm very glad to be here. And I am very excited and a little bit nervous to run those two games because they're very intense games. But I think I'm gonna be able to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's very normal to be nervous, especially with two really high octane, difficult platform speedruns like the two games we're about to talk about. So why don't we jump right into it? We're going to start off with Ares Extinction Agenda EX, which is the first game that's coming up right after this interview. Kiwami, there is a character choice bid war for this run. So I was curious if you could maybe tell us a little bit about the differences between the two characters.
Of course. So Ares, this character kind of plays very similar to Mega Man X. So he can dash and air dash, and his weapons have more range. And then compared to Taurus is like a more heavy character. His weapons actually they have less range, and I would say that he plays he plays very similar to Metroid in a way.
Interesting. Yeah, when watching some of your PB, I was seeing that there was a lot of similarities to like the later Mega Man X games, which seemed really interesting. And on that note, when I was watching your PBs, I mean, I loved the music. It's just this like banging, really rocking music. So I was curious if you had a favorite track in the game.
Well, to be honest, all of the tracks in this game are amazing. But if I would like pick my most favorite one is the final level song. That's
Okay.
my favorite one.
Gamers, then you have to watch the whole run because you have to compare all the tracks up to that point. Then the last level, it's the best answer. So let's move on to Mighty Gunvolt Burst, which is the run immediately after Ares. Can you tell us a little bit about the category name? Because, it says any percent, which we know, we all understand that. But then we've got normal and call. So I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about those.
Of course. So the normal is the difficulty of the game, because in this game, after you finish the game, you actually unlock the hard difficulty, which due to its differences is the entirely separated category.
Okay.
And Call is the character that we will be playing as. So this game, when it released, it had a lot of DLC characters, and Call was actually one of them. And when she released, she was actually my favorite character.
Oh, nice. That's really exciting that you get to play as your favorite character. I also watched the PB for this, and she seems so fast. The movement mechanics seem really quick with her, so I'm excited to see it. And on that note, this game has really exciting movement options, it looks like. So I'm curious, with Call or without, how has the speedrun for this game changed since release just a few years ago?
I would say that the speedrun actually changed a lot throughout the years, because we ended up making new routes for the game. So there were some upgrades that we started to grab a couple of years after. So I would say that now the run is more optimized with like a faster route and everything for like every character, not only Call, but like also as recently we had some new runners who they've been also doing a lot of work for the game.
Nice. It's always good to see new life breathed into the game and all the characters seeing optimization. That's awesome. Well, everybody at AGDQ, please stay tuned. There are two amazing runs coming right up from Kiwami. Both Ares Extinction Agenda EX and Mighty Gunvolt Burst are coming up right after this.
Awesome. I am definitely hyped for those next 2 upcoming runs. And I hope you are all hyped too, because we are ready to go with our very next run. So I'm going to hand it off to KiwamiZX with this Ares versus Taurus any percent run of Ares Extinction Agenda EX.